Family members of missing Black girls are pleading with the media and local law enforcement throughout the country to please finally do something to raise awareness about and investigate their missing family members. Now, when it comes to the number of people missing in this country, Black people are actually disproportionately overrepresented. So they make up about 12% of the overall population, but over 30% of missing individuals, and oftentimes law enforcement won't investigate it. And there's some more evidence. This is actually from the FBI National Crime Information Center. And again, you can see 14% of US children are Black, but Black kids account for more than a third of missing child cases. And so these stories, I mean, it's true, these stories don't get reported the same way or as often as they do when the missing child is white. And so I wanna give you a great piece that ABC News did earlier this year about missing Black girls and why it is that local law enforcement doesn't do much to investigate it. Take a look.
It's very hard living day to day, not knowing where your child.
Paula Hill hopes that someone who sees these photos will help bring her missing daughter home and help mend her broken heart.
She's 8 on here, I wrote her on the back.
10 long years have passed since the young Black girl in these precious memories disappeared without a trace. Her name is Shamika Cozy. She vanished just a few days after Christmas that year.
On December the 28th, 2008, that was the last day that I seen her.
You've come back to this neighborhood a number of times.
Oh yeah.
Her daughter was here, just outside St. Louis, watching movies with her cousins when everyone woke up the next morning and discovered she was gone. She was 16 years old, a door was unlocked, and police believe she ran away, so they never searched for the girl.
They not doing anything because they think she gone on her own. I don't know what to do.
This idea that she ran away, you don't believe that?
No, no. Do I believe she left on her own with someone? Yes, but she was intending to come back. She was not intending to stay gone for 10 years.
Jeez. When I was a kid, I ran away, right? I was a bratty little kid, didn't like my mom disciplining me. I ran away. She called the cops. You know what the cops did? They started looking for me immediately. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This idea that a child is missing and if they had run away or if the cops think that they ran away, that they shouldn't investigate that? That's insane.
Yeah, it all goes down to, again, thank you for doing this because I get emotional. It all goes down to the dehumanization of Black and brown bodies, right? When you don't see those people as human, then it doesn't invoke the empathy in you to care about them. Anaya Blanchard was being abducted and a student at Auburn was being abducted at a gas station a couple of weeks ago. She was missing. Parents had to go on Instagram to launch some awareness because the media wasn't covering it. They just discovered her body. They come to find out that a white man saw it and was reported it days later after he found out that there was some sort of reward, and only to explain that his wife told him, don't do anything about it, that's none of your business. Had they spoken up while that girl was being abducted at a gas station, she would probably be alive today. She's the daughter of a UFC fighter. We shouldn't have to say that for her body to matter. And that this is such a big issue in the Bronx. A bunch of Latin girls. If you notice how they classify with the Latinos are included in the whites, but then the Black and the brown people, the children of color are not seen as human enough to be cared about so that their stories can matter when it comes to this. And we are going to have to use our voices and our platforms to help bring these children home because outside of the Young Turks, who else is talking about this?
So the thing that like always comes to mind about everything you said is right. And I feel like I didn't really comprehend it until that video of Tamir Rice getting shot and killed within 2 seconds. I mean, you're talking about a 12-year-old kid, he's at a park, he's playing with a toy gun, by the water. And a cop shows up and within 2 seconds, didn't ask a single question, shot and killed him because that life didn't matter. didn't matter enough to stop and think like, is that a real gun? Is that a toy gun? Is this person posing a threat to anyone? Doesn't matter. 12-year-old kid gone.
Yeah.
And that cop didn't face any consequences for it. It's devastating. So let's talk a little bit about the media and how they handle these types of stories. So there have been studies done to kind of gauge how often the media cover these types of stories, which child abduction cases they'll focus on, which ones they'll ignore. So there's a 2010 study that found that Black children were significantly underrepresented in TV news. Even though about a third of all missing children in the FBI's database were Black, they only made up about 20% of the missing children cases covered in the news. There was a more recent study in 2015. That study was bleaker. Though Black children accounted for about 35% of missing children cases in the FBI's database, they amounted to only 7% of media references. And so when you don't pay attention to it, people don't know about it. And remember, it's important for the media to cover it because if you see, let's say the abductor's face, like a sketch of the abductor's face, then you can be on the lookout. If you see what the missing girl or the missing person looks like, you can be on the lookout. If there's no media coverage on it, then how are members of the community gonna know that there's a missing person that they should look out for?
I mean, just think about it. There's a national alert on our phones for a white girl that went missing, right? We have an Amber Alert, that it affects everybody in the country. It's not just regional, right? And you see this Black girl a couple of weeks ago. She was driving in her car. She got carjacked. The guy threw her in the trunk of her car, went to the ATM machine and used her ATM card, was about to drive off with her. She did, the newer cars have the thing in the trunk where you can open it, which you need to know. Opened the trunk, got out, ran into a business, and a man hit her in the back. But what, she would not have been a story on the news. The reason she was a story on the news is because she got out of the trunk and the cameras show her surviving in the moment. And it's so frustrating what is happening right now because with this human trafficking, the sex, with the black market with the organs, and then with the human trafficking, and with people understanding that Black women don't matter. R. Kelly can do it for 20 years. They don't matter enough because there are no consequences, there's no awareness. Why wouldn't they target them? Because they know that nothing's gonna happen. And that is a big motivating force for criminals who are out here looking for the vulnerable because they are in Compton, they're in the hood, they're in Houston, they're in Alabama, they are preying on people in marginalized communities because they feel ain't nobody gonna go look for them girls. This is not gonna be on the news. There ain't no Amber Alert for Shamika. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I think of all those news stories where everyone's in a field, 6 feet apart, walking, looking for clues. Yep. And then they show the picture of the person who's missing and it's always a white girl.
Yep.
And I feel cliched talking about like, this girl fell down a well. It's like that was the movie of the week every week for like the entire 90s, you know? And it just doesn't change.
Mia, who's one of our members, wrote in while we've been covering the story and says, missing women of color is a huge issue in Canada too, although here the largest portion is with Indigenous women and girls, and our media and government still refuse to speak up, much less act.
Oh yeah, there's a really big problem with the Indigenous women, the murders of Indigenous women, and without consequence.
Yeah.
And then to your point on like the census, actually, there is no separate like Latinx or whatever. It's like a subsection of white.
Yep.
Or you identify as like, I think it's Latino black, Latino white.
We're only white when it benefits them.
But that's the thing is like, if the census is for getting a clear count, you don't get a clear count.
Right.
Not to mention all the ways they're trying to drive people away from being in the census by citizenship questions, et cetera.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.